Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Stef Haynes. Welcome back to another episode of Instrument Investigation. It's been a while, but today I'm very excited to be presenting the NUX NES-1. A friend of mine let me borrow it, so unfortunately we can't do the whole unboxing thing, but fortunately that means we can get straight to the good stuff. So there have been some really interesting electronic wind instruments coming out of China recently. I recently reviewed the Grayton AP300, which had a nice design and some really interesting features. That one definitely took a lot of design cues from the Akai Iwi, and this one seems to be taking more design cues from the Roland Aerophone. As you can see, it has button-style keys rather than touch-sensitive keys. This little armband comes included to deal with moisture. There's a little mouthpiece cap here, and I'll take that off so we can see the mouthpiece and the reed that we have on the other side. Of course, we have a little pitch bend wheel here, but I think my favorite thing about the NES-1 is this screen. Full color, just so beautiful. It's got nice pictures of every preset. And in fact, the NES-1 actually has two screens. It has one here, which is the main UI screen, and there's another one up here that just tells you what patch you have. So you don't even need to take the instrument out of your mouth to know what patch you're playing. So if you're changing patches within a song, that can be really convenient. This whole UI thing makes a lot of sense. You have two dials to control the volume. This one is for the Bluetooth volume, so you can connect a device to the NES-1 with Bluetooth and you can hear the sound from that device coming out of the headphone jack here. And you can also control the volume of the external speaker, which is here by the way, with this dial. This dial is also a button, and so are both of these. So in fact you have 4 dials, 3 buttons, and 2 switches, and this button as well. So as long as we're talking about how fancy this instrument is, I want to show you the built-in wireless module. To find it, you just have to press this button here, and this little door will open nice and smoothly. And then this is the wireless transmitter. So with this, you can wirelessly send audio from the NUX to this little thing, and you can plug this into an amp or whatever. Just for fun, I'm going to take this off. You can take the mouthpiece off by pressing on this button here, and then it just pops right off like that. This lever here senses the reed movement, and I'm sure there's a pressure sensor somewhere. But I think we've looked at it enough. How about we take a listen and see how it sounds? Okay, so I've got the NUX here. It's wired up to my computer. I've got a 1/4-inch cable coming out of the output here. I'm also using the wireless transmitter. It's plugged in right here. Maybe you can see the green light. I thought it would be fun to use both at the same time to test the latency, and it's about the same, so that's great. We'll do a quick tour through the presets now. Here's the alto sax. Here's soprano saxophone. There's some reverb on this that you're probably hearing. You can set the reverb from 1 to 5. It sort of seems to me that no matter where you have it set, the length of the tail is always the same, and it's just the volume of the reverb that changes. So that's a little interesting. Here's tenor sax. Yep, there's alto sax classical, sax ensemble. I'm gonna skip these. Here's a clarinet. Alright, here's an oboe. I'm getting a little bit of glitching when I'm changing octaves, so maybe I'll go into the settings and see if there's anything I can do about that. Key delay, okay. Right now it's at high. That kind of seems like where I want it if I'm having glitches. So we'll put it to low, see what that's like. Okay, that kind of seems to do the opposite of what it says. I would have expected high to be a high key delay, so less glitching, but oh, because it's sensitivity and the sensitivity is low. I see. I'm gonna set it to medium. So it's not actually key delay, it's key sensitivity. In the menu, it says key delay, but when you press on the menu item, it says key sensitivity. Go figure. Okay, we got a bassoon. I'm gonna skip that. Here's a flute. Yep. Here's muted trumpet. This one's usually pretty good. That reverb, though, so long. Let's try trombone. Perfect. Okay, violin. Fun fact, this one does the vibrato for you. You don't have to do it yourself. Here's viola. Double bass. Yeah, pretty epic. Double bass, pizzicato. Yeah, not bad. Electric guitar, let's go. Needs more distortion. Okay, synth. This is the part that I actually care about. Is it any good? We'll see. Synth 3. Synth 4. Synth number 6. That one's not bad. Here's 8. It kind of sounds like MGMT. I had to keep playing it until I didn't get that glitch note in there. I'm not bad, I swear. It's just something about these octave keys don't really agree with me. You guys know I'm a new rad, a Kai Iwi kind of guy, so I'm all about those rollers. And of course, playing an acoustic saxophone or any kind of wind instrument is a different story altogether in terms of what your thumb has to do. Okay, so now we're in the Chinese instruments. Here's Halusi. I don't know why I played that. Seems like a weird choice. Here's DZ. DZ2. Kind of a weird attack on that one, but I'm not a DZ player, so. That was kind of fun, actually. Chiba. I don't know what this is. It's interesting because some of the notes have vibrato, but some of them don't. So you gotta put in your own vibrato on the ones that don't, I guess. But I kind of like that one. It was nice. You don't get the bottom range on this one. It's a bit disappointing because I feel like it would make a cool bass instrument. Nothing. Pujang, of course. Erhu, this one's my favorite. Not so sure about the attack on that. I feel like it'd be a bit smoother and the note transitions, but yeah, I think you guys get the idea. There's a handful of instruments left, but at this point, what I'm really curious about is how it functions as a MIDI controller. Because you guys know I'm all about that. I use MIDI all the time. I love synthesizers. I make my own patches for electronic wind instruments. So let's see if it works well with those. So full disclosure, I've already tried this. I already know it's not a great MIDI controller, so instead of doing a fake reaction video for you, I'll just play a little bit and you'll hear probably immediately why it's not ideal. So the main problem I have is that there's that little like ticky sound at the beginning of each note, and the reason that's there is because there's actually a gap in between the MIDI notes. Essentially, MIDI notes coming from an electronic wind instrument should always be either touching or like offset like this or overlapped a little bit. But the ones coming off of this instrument are, there's like a little gap in between, and my synthesizer doesn't like that. So to give you an idea of what it should sound like, I'll play the same thing for you on the new rad. The other thing is I noticed that there's not a lot of like subtlety in the breath sensitivity. It kind of feels like a bit steppy. It feels like when I start to blow harder or like bring it back, there's like discrete values that it's like stepping between. Whereas on other electronic wind instruments, I feel like it's very smooth going between lower dynamics and louder dynamics. So yeah, if we zoom in like this, real close, you can see there's a big gap between these notes, about... It's only 1 millisecond, but that 1 millisecond is enough to make the legato synth patches that I created not work properly with this instrument, which is, it's really too bad. And if we double click on this clip here, and we take a look at envelopes, MIDI control, let's see, we were doing 2 breath controller. And if we zoom in on the breath data here, you can see that discrete steppiness that I'm talking about. So we're going from a breath data value of 47, jumping up to 57, and then from there to 66. So instead of getting 127 discrete values, you're taking that and you're basically dividing it by 10. So you basically only have like 12.5 levels of dynamic range from the MIDI there, which is pretty bad. The MIDI implementation in this thing should be better. Now, the great news is that it seems like it's possible to do a firmware update on this thing. I've checked. Mine is on the most recent firmware from earlier this year in 2024. That means that they can always improve the MIDI implementation in the future, which is great news, because this thing, yeah, it's not perfect hardware-wise, but it's pretty darn good. So if the MIDI could be brought up to match, then I'd be a fan of this instrument, especially for the price. Speaking of sensitivity stuff, I've noticed that it's also really difficult to get subtle movements out of the reed. It's either like in the in tune or fully closed position, or it's in the fully open position. It's really hard to smoothly go in between those two positions. So that's another thing that could be better about this instrument. I'm being really picky here, but you know, this thing won a design award, so I think it can handle the criticism that I'm throwing at it. Finally, just to show you that it is possible to shred on any instrument, no matter its shortcomings or whatever, I'm gonna put on a track and slightly change my synthesizer patch to disguise the little note gap problem, and we'll see what I can do. So, bottom line, would I recommend this thing? I mean, maybe. Depends on what you want. I probably wouldn't recommend it for professional use, but if you just want to have fun and play around, you could do a lot worse. Like, the user interface is beautiful. It's like really nice and easy to use that way. The wireless transmitter works pretty well too, so that's good. The built-in sounds, like, they're not the best that I've ever heard, but they're certainly not the worst. And there's a wide variety to choose from, so chances are you'll find something that you like. The reed works pretty well in E-wind mode, not so much in saxophone mode because it just doesn't have like the sensitivity. And there are those MIDI issues that should be sorted out. But it's got all of the keys that you need to make it have full saxophone fingering, which is nice. That includes the bis key, which is something that a lot of manufacturers seem to forget about, which is really disappointing because it's very important to me. And all the pinky keys as well, and these side keys if you want to use them. I didn't really get a chance to talk about the octave keys, but octave up is pretty good, octave down is fine. I would probably want them to be closer together, but that's just me. We already talked about my huge bias for octave rollers, so there's that. This can make you go up a third octave, but the placement is really awkward. But maybe if you practice, you can get used to it. I don't know. I'm not going to try. So yeah, I think this is a really interesting instrument. I'm really excited to see what NUX will come up with next, because this is a great start, and it's nice to see companies trying to do new, innovative things with electronic wind instruments, even if it's not a home run on the first attempt. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video to be helpful or interesting, please like and subscribe. If there's an instrument that you want me to review on my channel, don't hesitate to let me know about it, and I'll see if I can get my hands on it. Thanks for tuning into this episode of Instrument Investigation. I'll see you next time.